Guys, we got a 07 F-550 here, and we're going to change out the brake boost assist. And this is common on 250s, 350s, 550s. So what we're going to start with is pulling the reservoir and master cylinder off. So you're going to crack both of these lines here and set those aside. We can pull loose the lines on the bottom and the two nuts back here. This is going to drip a little bit because there's no check valve in this. It just it drips slowly, so don't be surprised when it drips on you and you're thinking that it's not supposed to. But that's a good thing because we won't have to bench bleed this master cylinder, and I'll explain that to you as we get further along. So let's start off by cracking these two lines. If we got enough room to move the master cylinder out of the way, fantastic. If you don't, just go ahead and remove it and set it aside somewhere. Okay, so we use 13 millimeter line wrench if you have one, but these aren't extremely tight. You can get them off with a regular wrench. Got both of those out. Now let's grab a 14 millimeter and let's pull this one and that one as well on the other side. Hopefully we won't have to tip this reservoir back up out of the way pulling this pin to get to them. We do have ratchet wrenches, so if you have ratchet wrenches you'll be able to get at it, or you can get a long extension, 6-inch and probably a 3-inch right through here, or 9-inch with a deep socket 13 or 14. So let's pull those off. I like to pull that back one first because you're leaving the front one tight, that nut will come off a lot easier. You'll just crank it a little ways and then you'll spin it the rest by hand and then get the other one that's easier to get at in the first place. Okay, so now we have both the bolts off and we have both the lines off. Now you're going to grab a 18 millimeter. You're going to reach in the back right here on this line and just crack it loose, because then it will be finger loose. You're going to want this line out right there, because there's going to be a metal bracket. See how it laid down out of the way? See that hole in the bracket? That goes on the master cylinder. You won't be able to pull the master cylinder out without pulling that out. So now let's get these lines back out of here. We can grab the master cylinder, pull it out, and then disconnect our plugs. So you got two on the bottom run right there between my fingers, one on the end, electrical plug, and there'll be one right here. Let's disconnect the three of those and get this out of here. Now you see how that's burping a little bit there? Again, that's because there is no check valve in there, and that's why we won't have to bench bleed this master cylinder. I'll explain more after we get to that point. Let's set it down out of the way here. Okay, now on the brake assist, we'll have this plug here that we can pull off with a pair of pliers. Right behind it will be another 18 millimeter line. And that's pretty much all we'll do out here. Then we'll have to get up underneath the brake pedal and I'll show you how to disconnect that. There'll be a yellow clip, sometimes green. That'll have to come out, and there'll be 4 nuts back there. Okay, on this first line here, it was stuck on there pretty good. There was no prying it off. I just grabbed the entire rubber hose and give it a little twist, and that broke free where it was seized up a little bit and it slid right off. Then I got in there and cracked loose the 18 millimeter, and we got that out of the way. All right, time to get up under the dash. Okay, so right there is our green clip we'll be pulling. Right there. And then this will slide off and we can drop loose this rod. And then we have 4 13 millimeters. One there, one there, one there, and one up over there. So let's pull those 4 and then we can drop that booster out of there. So there's the little clip. And then you can see this all slides right off just like that. And there's our rod. So now the brake pedal is free and we just need the 4 bolts. So let's get in there probably with a swivel and a 13 millimeter and pull those. Okay, I pulled the top 2 first, then the bottom left, then the bottom right, because the bottom right seemed like it was the easiest one to get to, and the booster is going to want to fall on you. So if you get that one out, it's much easier at the end if it's sliding and falling to get loosen that nut than it is one of those or the top ones. I think you get that. So we do that one last, and in the same sense, when we put it back together, we'll tighten up that one first.